National Innovation Strategy. The nation station Oman FM with the cooperation of the Research Council presents Innovation Roadmap, an introduction to National Innovation Strategy from the Research Council.
Hello and welcome to our latest edition. I'm Lakshmi Kathanet with Ahmed Al-Araimi, and you're going to meet our guest in a few seconds' time. The National Innovation Strategy has 4 pillars. And they are institutional integration, which focuses on the empowerment of communication and cooperation between decision makers and the institutions that produce, support, and benefit from innovation. Human capital, intellectual property, and economic diversification are the other 3 pillars. Today, we're fortunate to have in our studios our guest, Hannat Hinaiya, Diversity and Inclusion Officer, People and Change Directorate at PDO. She's also the head of the Human Capital Pillar of the National Innovation Strategy. So welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Lakshmi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am very honored to be here today. And to be your guest on this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a privilege. And your job title sounds very exciting. And you're also head of the Human Capital Pillar of the National Innovation Strategy. Now, what is the importance of this pillar? How would you see it?
Before I go on to answer your question, Lakshmi, please allow me to say some special thank you to some special people on this particular strategy. And I'll start with the Supreme Steering Committee, which is chaired by His Highness Sayyid Shihab bin Tariq Al Said, and the Supervisory Committee, chaired by His Highness Sayyid Dr. Fahad bin Al Julanda Al Said, the Assistant Secretary General of Innovation Development at the Research Council. Also, I'd like to thank my colleagues, the Technical Committee, which have been very helpful and supportive, and they are distributed in the 4 pillars that you have just mentioned. And they are coming from various government, private, academic, and civil institutions and sectors. On top of them is Dr. Sharifa Al-Harthiya, the Director of the National Innovation Strategy Preparation Team. Also, I'd like to thank the members of the Quality Assurance Committee for their support and continuous advice and checking the work that we have been producing throughout the journey of preparing this strategy. And very special thank to His Excellency Dr. Hilal bin Ali Al-Hinai, the Secretary General of the Research Council, for his wisdom and continued support throughout the various activities of building the strategy. This is someone whom, when he starts talking, I'll just listen. Very great wisdom from him. Finally, I'd like to thank PDO for giving me this opportunity to be part of this very important national activity.
I mean, it's an amazing journey.
It was. So coming to answering your question about the importance of the human capital pillar, first of all, if I'll identify the pillar in a very short statement, it is identified as individuals who are capable of offering and discovering current and future innovative opportunities in order to sustain the country's development. In the National Innovation Strategy, the Human Capital Pillar focuses on the development of policies and systems of general education, higher education, research development, and the job market.
Okay.
Basically, it is trying the attempt to create and provide an innovative environment. This is how important it is to this particular strategy.
So this pillar, how does it plan to achieve its objectives?
The objectives of the innovation strategy, national innovation strategy, the
Human
first
capital,
one,
yeah.
yes, the first one is to make high productive individual. That is the
interesting.
yes. So that is the first objective of the national innovation strategy, and through there we focus on education, whether it is primary or secondary or higher education, and we are also on a journey to make sure that entrepreneurship environment is also live and is there.
And a lot of times people think entrepreneurship qualities mean to be just a business person, but it's actually bringing it to the individuals who are in any ecosystem.
You are listening to the National Innovation Strategy.
And of course, as we speak about human capital pillar of the NIS, and I'm sure one of the biggest contribution or focus would be on entrepreneurship. We will be taking a look at that in a few minutes' time. But now Hannat Hinaiya is our guest, and she is the Diversity and Inclusion Officer, People and Change at Directorate at PDO, Petroleum Development Oman, and she is the head of the human capital pillar of the National Innovation Strategy, which again shows you how the spectrum is so wide for the National Innovation Strategy. For people from different areas are contributing to this roadmap being built as we speak. So going back to our questions, Hannat, would you say when you look at the latest indicators and progress achieved under this pillar, what would they be?
Okay, Oman has made a big jump when it comes to the education sector indicator. In 2017, we have made 11 points jump in comparison to 2016 in the education sector. So this is a very good indicator, and we're continuing on that particular one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what, according to you, are the main challenges?
So the main challenges that we're facing at the moment, the limitation in general education system in terms of entrepreneurial skills. We have that challenge and we're trying to do our best to overcome that one. And then also there's a limitation in the higher education system in terms of innovation and again entrepreneurship skills. So in the general education and in the higher education, we lack skills in both levels. There is a gap between the education outputs and the labor market requirements, which had been mentioned for some time now, and the programs are there to try to close this particular gap. And then there is a limitation in educational policies toward innovation itself. In addition, there's a limitation in the research and development system in terms of availability of suitable expenditure. This particular challenge also has created an insufficient fund per student in general education system. Yeah.
So those are real challenges.
Yes.
And so how would we recommend solutions for that from the NIS?
So we need to strengthen the education system to provide the student with technical qualifications and project management skills. And this is there's a program that has been started to be implemented in some of the schools already. Balance between humanity majors and non-technical studies in universities and higher education institutes and the labor market's requirements. Also, the development policy should consider the link between supporting and assisting advanced technology and innovative works, in addition to the creation of labor-intensive business sectors. So things like tourism, for example. Yeah. So
for the labor-intensive.
Yes. In addition to that, to evaluate the level and growth of employment in the public sector, to provide highly efficient public services. All of these are things that have been done in order to try to overcome the challenges that I mentioned earlier. Equality and intensive between the public sector and private sector. That is also, we need to look into that. The National Strategy for Innovation and the 2040 version should take population census in consideration. Oman is growing, and all our programs and initiative must take that into consideration, the number of population that, increasing.
So this might be the right time to take those measurements.
Absolutely.
Because it's in the expansion. And
Yes.
would you think, personally speaking, do you think there would be a change in type of professions or majors students take up?
Absolutely, because we are now looking at the new demand of the 21st century. So things like artificial intelligence, definitely these are the future majors or future fields that we need to start thinking about seriously. Renewable energy sector as well. All of these things are things that we need to introduce in our education system.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So that will be some recommendations that will come from the human capital pillar
Yes.
of National Innovation Strategy.
Yes.
So would you say these are the main areas that need to be developed from the perspective of the human capital pillar that you've just mentioned?
Yes, specifically developing the education policies. Yeah, these are the main thing that we need to look at again, and enhancing the education system with entrepreneurship skills. We need to link them, these entrepreneurship skills and the policies, education policies, to sustainable socio-economic development trends. These are the things that we need to sit, all of us from different sectors, and have a look at how we link our entrepreneurship skills and the socio-economic development trends. And these are the most important areas actually at the moment that we need to work on to stimulate the human capital pillar.
Oh, I like that. Stimulate the human capital pillar.
Absolutely, yes.
We'll take a short break and be right back. You're listening to The Roadmap. It's all about innovation.
Various initiatives, strategies, and programs have been adopted under the Human Capital Pillar in school education, higher education, vocational and technical education, and R&D initiatives. You are listening to the National Innovation Strategy.
You're with the National Innovation Strategy Roadmap, and our guest is Hannat Hinaiya, Diversity and Inclusion Officer, People and Change Directorate at PDO, head of the Human Capital Pillar of the National Innovation Strategy. And we've been looking at the importance of the pillar, the latest indicators and progress achieved under this pillar, and the main challenges and the areas that need to be worked on. Now let's move on and find out from you main initiatives within the pillar.
The main initiative that have been achieved so far within the pillar is that we started to disseminate the information to various bodies about the pillar itself, the programs, the initiatives, the concepts of the National Innovation Strategy. And we have held a session with the Ministry of Education to introduce the human capital pillar to them. And we did get a very welcoming, session with the Ministry of Education, and they have already started to implement some of the program that we have proposed to them, such as developing the KPIs and indicators for assessing the teachers in the schools and in the academic field, and also further training and introducing the entrepreneurship curricula to students in some schools. So that is also done, and many other programs, innovation incubators, also in some schools have been implemented.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the government schools?
In the government
or private
schools.
schools?
In the government schools,
Okay.
yes.
So from what you said, it's important now to go back to the teachers and where they have been trained and how they have been trained.
Yes.
So and basically going back to their teachers.
Yes, and improve and develop them further and train them in the innovative way of teaching and delivering the information to students.
So that would mean like a mind shift completely?
Absolutely.
And the whole country to do Pan-Oman kind of a training session.
Yes.
And that would happen soon?
Inshallah. That's the ambition and that's the dream that we all have.
Yeah. Very nice. So I'm looking at the human capital in general. Like we talked about the teachers. So what are the areas that need to be developed?
We need, as I mentioned earlier, we need to create high productive and competitive individuals.
Yeah, this is what I needed more expansion from you because you are from the area.
So we need to build into our students and human capital the innovative thinking and problem-solving skills.
Problem-solving skills.
Yes, at all levels. And also we need to adapt the environment of innovation system for science and technology. And again, we need to introduce these into all levels of our education system. In addition to that, we need to establish innovative project incubators in schools. So this to be a norm in schools, universities and colleges, and expand technically as well as technologically. So we need to look at both sides. In advanced laboratories and libraries. So even our libraries need to be innovative in terms of the way the information is disseminated through them.
Libraries too.
Yes.
This is very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because this will enable the students to start establishing their projects innovatively by themselves.
And
they will be self-driven.
Exactly. Yeah, self-driven.
It will be self-driven innovation and problem-solving mindset.
Okay.
In addition to the above, we need to provide intellectual property curricular program. So people feel safe when they innovate something, the intellectual property is protected. So this needs to be done through the education, all the levels of education stages. We need to establish a small business development center to provide support and steer in the education institutes. So as you can see, we need to start from the bottoms up, from the education level, and we move higher.
Yeah.
Or we can also, in some areas, we can move parallel. We start in the schools and also we start in the human capital in the other levels and other institutions.
So, but are we still looking at students level in the school and higher education, or would we also influence on the people who are in the industry now?
So that's what I'm saying, that,
that is
in some area we can move parallel. Yes.
So you would be talking to private sector entities also and say, we want to interact with your staff, for example, to evolve them or encourage them.
Yes, so this is the next stage that we are now in the phase of discussing and agreeing where we will start in terms of which sector will go by or at which level. So we've started with the students, we started with the Ministry of Education, but we can also in some areas we can move parallel and also touch the workers who are already in their fields.
Because the parallel one would see immediate results almost.
Absolutely. In some areas we have to take it step by step, but there are certain areas that we can move parallel to the education sector.
Very interesting.
And we are now just looking into that and agreeing how to move forward.
Okay.
Yes.
And how's the response you see?
Oh, great. It's very welcoming because, as you said, the results can be felt and seen immediately. The mindset, change of mindset and the way of thinking, the problem solving definitely gives the results and fruits straight away. It shortens the time for someone to reach to the conclusion or solution of a specific problem.
This next question is exactly because you're in the same profession. It's because how do people accept to change according to you in the number of years you've been in this area? Because this would mean change in thinking, changes in habits.
Yes.
Usually, how do people look into that?
People are not the same or do not accept change in the same way. Some people have the mindset of show me why I need to change.
To convince
them. Yes. Some people look at you and they believe in you.
Yeah.
And once if it's you that you are telling them that this is good for you, they will believe you because they have believed in you from the beginning. So they will go with you as long as they see that you have your own integrity and, they trust in you. Some people say, okay, it's good idea, but show me the results. What my expectation from this?
So that's so interesting, and I'm very intrigued by this parallel movement of training and changing the thinking and even the entrepreneurial thinking.
Yes.
Because it's never too late to learn.
Never. We learn throughout our lives, and it is very important that all of us, however high grades we attain from our colleges, we need to understand that learning is a continuous journey. It's a life journey, and we need to learn new skills. We need to attain or get new competencies as we move on in our lives. So we shouldn't stop learning.
Okay.
We need to search for new ventures of learning every day, and this is what the innovation is all about.
Beautiful. We'll take a short break and be right back.
Creating qualified and knowledge-based human capital to boost Oman's competitiveness. Changing the mindset toward vocational education for better innovative society.
You are listening to the National Innovation Strategy.
So you've been with the National Innovation Strategy Roadmap, and a special thanks to you, Hannat Hinaiya. You have really educated us today. Being the head of the human capital pillar of the NIS, it must be very exciting for you, and we're all there to support you and the rest of the team.
Thank you very much for hosting me. It has been a wonderful opportunity for me to also talk about the National Innovation Strategy. And I do thank again all the team in the National Innovation Strategy and the Research Council and also the Supreme Committee for supporting us.
I'm Lakshmi Karthinath with Ahmed Al-Arami, and thank you.
Thank you.
National Innovation Strategy. The Nation Station Oman FM with the cooperation of the Research Council presents Innovation Roadmap,